we are looking at what we call leadership. We have a crisis of leadership, especially in Africa, at governmental level, and of course, even at organizational levels. That is why if you go to outside markets, like go to, for example, China, the United Kingdom, United States of America, try to trace Kenyan products over there or products coming from Southern Sudan, you can't see them. Because globally, our products, our companies are just dwarfs. But when you come locally, like now, specifically come here to Kenya, 80% of whatever goods which are being consumed here, they come from China. So we'll see those goods coming here and they're able to become so huge. Those companies have a lot of influence over what we do here. For example, when it comes to automobile industry, you've got nothing to be driven around from Africa. That is the kind of leadership that I would expect us to be talking, because when you see vehicles called Toyota being sold in all global markets, it means that those guys over there, they have a very strong leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, remember, what matters is the tone at the top. If the tone at the top that is set there at the board level is correct, then automatically everything within the organization will fall nicely within their respective places. There shall be order in the company. The marketing pillar will be up there. Corporate governance pillar will be up there. So we must have what we call the right tone at the top. What is the language that the directors are using within the organization? At these junctures, I get started with these great concepts of leadership, which I'll be doing often. I would want us to put on our cameras. Let's put on our cameras, ladies and gentlemen. I would want to see you today. Let's put on our cameras. Are we able to put on our cameras, ladies and gentlemen? Somebody, I would want to see you today, and I'm very serious. Today, I want to see you. And I will give you a present if I see you. I need to give you a present. I can't see anybody in this case here putting on their cameras. Is there a problem? I can't see people putting on their cameras. They can't start. So please ensure that you are able to start now your videos. Yes. Just put on your camera. Like I can see your dual there. Thank you so much. Don't shut them off. Don't shut them off. I can see Milton. I can see Stella. Wow, great. I can see Omuro. Great. I can see Lenny. So then I would want you, great. I can see Mercy as well. I would want you to do me a favor. I would want you guys to do me a favor. I would want everybody who has put on their camera like a mouse so nicely there. I would want you guys to touch your chin. Everybody, please touch your chin. The way I'm touching, please. Touch your chin. Touch your chin. Thank you so much. Everybody's touching their chins very well. And I can see you guys have beautiful chins. But do you know that you are terribly wrong? Do you know that this is the chin? Do you know that the chin is here? And all of us, of course, we knew that the chin is where? The chin is this one, isn't it? All of us, everybody. But why in this case here do you have like Daphne in this case here, you guys who are very good in this lingua, English, touching this as the chin? Are you foolish? Are you stupid? No. It's because in this particular group, I'm the leader. And as the leader, I've done a mistake. And when I do a mistake as a leader, obviously, most of the followers will follow the leader. What is the leader doing? So when I told you that this is the chin, everybody was able to touch the chin. And this is what is happening. And that is why we are failing as leaders in Africa. Because the moment you are at the top there, perhaps you are the governor, and you are the president, for example, and then you happen to be like, in quotes, a thief. Do you think in this case you're going to be a thief, and then your followers in this case here shall be good? No. It is all about the tone at the top. If the tone at the top is right, trust you me, these respective countries like in East Africa, they can easily become our Singapores very, very easily. But the tone at the top must always be right. So remember, leadership is all about getting things done through other people. So for example, at RCM, Aura here, of course, is one of the directors. I can't teach all the classes. Actually, I normally take very few classes, all right? So mine is basically to ensure that I'm able to motivate other teachers to influence other teachers so that they can easily deliver our agenda to ensure that RCM is able to be there in the long term, what we call longevity. So whenever you hear of leadership, as I start in this case here sharing this handout, thank you so much. You can shut your cameras, and of course you guys are bright. It's not that you are following the leader. You are following the leader. So what is leadership? Definition. Leadership is about influencing individuals or groups to achieve organizational goals. It is not just about power. It is about guiding and motivating. Visionary leaders must have a clear future direction and communicate it to inspire commitment. In terms of ethics and leadership, strong ethical standards are central to leadership because leaders' behaviors set the tone for the whole organization. The tone for the whole organization. If you're not hardworking, there's nobody who will be hardworking. If you're the one of some of those leaders who we say that they like serving tea, you know what we call serving tea in Kenya, you're among those people who like talking so much, gossiping others so much, all right? Then you will end up wasting company time. A good leader shall be visionary. You could be having something very, very small, but if you're visionary and you put all your energies into influencing everybody, show people the way in a very ethical way, then at the end of the day, you'll be able to achieve marvelous things. You shall be a transformational leader, someone who is able to transform. Look at, for example, Elon Musk. This guy, when he was talking about in some years that we shall be able to have electric vehicles, people are not listening. People thought that this was just a madman, but he kept on making lots of noise, lots of noise. Now, look at what is happening. A place like China, if, for example, today you wanted to get a driving license in China, and then you are using, in this case here, the old fuel vehicle, your license will take ages to come. They're trying to discourage people from using these fossil fuels vehicles. They would want people to go the electric way, the solar way of powering these vehicles. But remember, that's a vision that was started by who? Elon Musk, just one man like this. So it's very transformational. And the guy is very ethical. Remember, some time back, he was even becoming bankrupt. Yeah, he's very, very ethical and he works very hard. He's ever in social media. So transformational. Like now, the way at RCM, we believe that one day RCM will become a university. Trust you me. We may be saying this thing as a joke, but what I know, given the efforts you're putting, like in marketing, Facebook, etc., give us like a year or two, we shall be recognized. We shall become the first open private university. You know, we have an open but public university. Yeah, it's about seeing this is the way and working so hard to ensure that you reach there. Now, perspectives on leadership. We have the trait theory. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, traits are those characteristics that you are born with. They are innate you. The old management theories, the traits theory, used to tell us that naturally, leaders are supposed to be tall. That if you are tall, then automatically you have all the abilities to become an influencer, to influence people. All right? They told us that if you are charismatic, that if you are able to speak so eloquently, easily, chances are you'll be able to gain lots of what your favor with people. And once you gain lots of favor with people, then you'll be able to influence them. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this brings forth the question, are leaders born or are they made? Which school of thought do you, in this case here, support? Are leaders born or are they made? You simply say born or made. When we talk of making of leaders, it's all about that this leader came in as just a novice, someone who knew nothing, but we've been able to train them. We took them to primary school, secondary school, in this case here, university, it is the land. Now they've been made to become leaders. Or are they born? Are there people in this case here who are charismatic naturally? Yeah, in this case here, most leaders, in this case here, if you are short as Mwalimu, you know Mwalimu is 5'7". That according to traits theory, then I'm not supposed to be a leader because a leader should be what here? Should be just born, should be tall. They should be born that way. Somebody is saying both. Both, I can't agree more. I can't agree more. I can't agree more. Both, yes. Made and what year? Born. Made and born. So when you talk of traits theory, ladies and gentlemen, it depends. So it's situational. It is situational. Great. So in this case here, a trait approach, the idea is that leaders are born with certain qualities that make them effective. Example, the famous Winston Churchill. He was so charismatic. He knew how to speak very well. He could persuade. He was resilient in wartime. If you remember Winston Churchill, whenever he lost, he always sprang back. Look at Steve Jobs, the Apple man. This guy who died of cancer. Cancer snatched a very important young man from us. Not very young, he was over 50, but I mean, Steve Jobs was very visionary, passion. He was very passionate. Remember how he was able to, in this case here, all the time. If you ever followed him, you can even follow him today on YouTube. See how he was launching the new iPhones, like iPhone 4, iPhone 5. This guy, the kind of vision that he sold to us before he died is still so strong. That is why some of us, for example, I can easily go and buy iPhone 17 at 250,000 because we believe that every other newer version of iPhone, I mean, is better. But if you compare, because I've been with iPhone for so long, I mean, there is nothing really very different between these iPhone levels, like level 16 and level 17, similar. But you see, because of how he sold the idea, once you have this iPhone, say for 2 years, something will happen and you'll feel like, hey, let me change. Because this guy was transformational. He was able to see far. And he was able, in this case here, to sell all his beliefs to others. And people were able to follow, both customers and employees. All right. So we have, in this case here, Steve Jobs' vision, passionate, creativity, and confidence in innovation. In business exams, you could say an energetic and a persuasive CEO who motivates staff through personal charisma reflects the trait approach. Then we have, in this case here, behavior approach. Now, ladies and gentlemen, when we talk of behavioral theory, this will be those kind of leaders who are both task-oriented and people-oriented. So fine, I would want this task, I would want this activity to be executed. Execution has to be there. I have to push my people. But at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, I must know that I'm not dealing with metal. I'm dealing with human beings. So in this case here, I must introduce what we call empathy. You know, we have what we call sympathy and empathy. Sympathy is when you look around and see someone who is poor, who has a begging bowl. And then, of course, you feel sad inside. But when you reach where he is near there, you simply walk by. You don't even throw in even a single coin. But when we talk of empathy, we are saying that you should put yourself in the shoes of this beggar and ask yourself a simple question. If I was this beggar, what would I expect this passerby, people who are passing by, to do? I would expect them to help me. So you put yourself in their shoes. And that is where we have a very strong leadership theory called Elton Mayo, E. Mayo. You know, E. Mayo is the one who came up with this school of thought called what here? School of Human Relations. School of Human Relations. He was able to take some ladies into some experiment. So in this case here, what he was doing, these ladies were sewing or sewing. Sewing is the proper pronunciation. They were sewing. Yeah, in a company in America. It's called General Electric. It's a big farm up to now. Houghton's experiment. Yeah, it was in Houghton. Houghton is a place in America. Houghton's experiment. So those ladies were sewing. Yeah, in this case here, they were using machines. Of course, in this case here, to make dresses. So then he was in this factory and he was trying to test a few things. So this gentleman would go and increase the light. As he increased the lighting, what you observe that these ladies were able to work even faster. They were able to produce more. So he kept on increasing the light every time. As he increased the light, we had in this case here higher productivity. higher productivity. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as this gentleman called 𝑪𝑰𝑭𝑨 was in the process of doing research, doing his conclusions, saying that what matters best in terms of productivity are what we call the hygienic conditions. If the conditions are hygienic, like you're giving better salary, the light is good, people are able to see things nicely, and therefore they're able to increase their production. There was power blackout, unfortunately, within his experiment. So during this power blackout, he expected in total darkness that those ladies were not supposed to produce even a single thing, that productivity would simply go down to zero. It never went down to zero. It increased 3 times against the beliefs of Elton Mayo. So in this case here, Elton Mayo was able to call these ladies later on, one at a time, to his office to try to get their side of the story. What happened? Dark times means problematic times. What happened that you are able to go against all the odds to increase your productivity? And then this lady told Elton Mayo that, you know what, Elton Mayo, you as our leader, we could not let you down even for a single minute, simply because you are there with us. During our dark times, during these dark moments, leaders have to show up. In Africa, whenever companies have issues, like for example, you're told in this case here, the media people have come and they would want to interview the CEO, in most cases, the CEO will run away. The CEO in Africa, because I've been in this business for long, I know. The CEO, when they hear that auctioneers have knocked the door, the CEO will tell you, hey, let's meet tomorrow. They run away. According to Elton Mayo, you must show up. Because how you relate with these employees during problematic times really matters. Don't be that kind of a leader when you have not paid salaries, you keep on running away. When you haven't paid your suppliers, you keep on telling the accountants, in this case here, to say that the CEO is sick. And yet, even those suppliers are not stupid. They know at the back door, the CEO is hiding. They know. The governor is hiding. They know. So then Elton Mayo came and called his school of thought what matters most is the human relations. How do you relate with your juniors at the workplace? The moment that relationship is good, then automatically your productivity will go up, regardless of how well you are paying your employees. That actually doesn't matter a lot. It's about the respect you're giving them. So we call it the school of human relations or empathy theory. Empathy theory. Are we together, ladies and gentlemen, up to now? Are we together? Is there somebody who is able to understand my explanations? Or am I talking to myself? I like teaching this paper called Strategic Business Leader. Why? Because it's very, very practical. We simply mention these things and you'll be able to just pass in your exams. Yeah, and you'll be able to apply them. You'll be able to apply these things in your normal day-to-day activities. So that's what we call traits theory. And of course, we have in this case here behavioral approach. It focuses on what leaders do, not just who they are, what they do. Leadership effectiveness depends on balancing task-oriented and the people-oriented behaviors. I would want them to work so hard, but at the end of the day, I must recognize that, hey, these are human beings. And here I normally read things on the papers, ladies and gentlemen, and I wonder. So you get at times, in this case here, this is a lady who is coming from maternity leave. So they have been with us, so they have finished their 3 months, their maternity leave. So now they are with us like on the 4th month, right? So one day this poor lady comes to the office at around 11. And remember, they were supposed to report in at 8 a.m. And then we get somebody from there in the name of a leader raising their voice against this lady, throwing, in this case here, bad words on them. You should be able to know how to relate with the people. You never know. When somebody has got a very, very young kid, those kids in terms of sleep, at times in this case here, they can really, really do wonders. They can at times in these cases decide to sleep like the whole day, and then at night, in this case here, they would want you to stay now with them. And that is what that poor lady did. Or at times in this case here, they have to rush these kids to the hospital at night. So you can't bring in the issues of like alarm. How comes in this case? No. There are times in this case, even that lady, as she's walking in this case at the office at 11, she's so guilty. The guilt that has consumed her is even enough. You simply ask her name, so and so, how is her? Our great baby. I hope the baby is okay. Give that lady time to even sit and relax. Give her like even 3 or even 4 days. You'll even be surprised. She'll come to explain herself even without you asking her. And everybody in the organization understands. Put yourself in their shoes. It's called behavioral. Yes, we expect you to work, but at the end of the day, you are a person. You are a human being. If you remember very well, we shall be introducing these schools of thought. Like we have somebody we call Frederick Taylor. Frederick Taylor. Frederick Taylor is the father of scientific management. This is the person who came up with what we call piece rate, way of paying workers. Piece rate, way of paying workers, is the person who said that human beings are exactly like water machines. If you pay them on the basis of the pieces they produce, then they produce more. If they produce zero, if they don't work, if they don't work, you give them 0 shillings. So he is really criticized because of what year he took human beings for what year for machines. No. And the behavioral theory, we must, yes, push our work to be done, but knowing that this work is not being done by machines. These are people, they get tired. I'll always be using China because I know China very well. In China, for example, all factories are required, it's mandatory for all factories to have their employees, after they have their lunchtime snack, which they consume like 15 to 30 minutes, they have a window of about 45 minutes to sleep. And they go and sleep. They have what we call a power nap. After power napping, when they wake up, those guys work even more. They are more productive. That is what we call behavior. These are human beings. As we push our tasks to be done, simply know that there is what here, the other side of them being what here, the other side of them being humans. I was reading a book. Yeah, so this book in this case is all about why African men, we don't make very good CEOs. Why African men don't make very good leaders. Why is it you can't go, for example, to Sony International and get, in this case here, a CEO who is an African? Why is it that even our own Safaricom here, most of the times they have always given us foreigners? Even the Kenyan who is seated today in this Safaricom office today, if you tell me, is more of a British, is more of a Briton than a Kenyan. This guy spent almost all his entire life in the UK. So why is it that we African men, why don't we make very, very good leaders? That book, I mean, it's so bare knuckle. It's giving us very, very good insights. Yeah. Because of course you realize that African men, we are very, very good at sitting in these comfortable reddish chairs. Our work in this case is to order for 3 newspapers, and then we keep on reading these newspapers as if there is an exam that will be coming out of them. Someone will take like 3-4 hours reading just newspapers. Trust you me, outside there, that can never happen. Because outside there, they believe that even if you're the leader, you should be able to show the way in terms of working. You can even work double harder. So that you are there, your work is simply to swing around chairs, bossing over others, giving just instructions, and then the time to leave about 3-4 p.m., you've gone. That company of yours will collapse. That is not what good leaders do. Good leaders, ladies and gentlemen, in this case here, will be able to exercise concepts like 𝑪𝑰𝑭𝑨. 𝑪𝑰𝑭𝑨 is a dog. Management by walking around. Get to the workstations of your employees. Get to know the kind of problems that they experience every other day. Have, in this case here, short. Don't do very long meetings, like 20-30 minutes with a small group of employees, call others, and that should be very, very well programmed. Yeah, in this case here, somebody called Henry Fayol in his 14 principles of management. Henry Fayol, in his 14 principles of management, Henry Fayol came and gave us this acronym, 14 principles of management. He said, Dad, you see USSR? Oh, I see. Dad, you see USSR? Oh, I see. How many are these? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. There are 14 principles of management. Among these 14 principles of management, we must give ideation a key position in our company. I stands for initiatives. Having those small meetings, listening to your employees, having an open door policy where they can walk to you and tell you anything. They shall be able to give you ideas. This thing that teaches African men, I'll be talking about women later, to think that there are people, quote unquote, who are stupid in the organization, it's very wrong. Even that cleaner, trust you me, that cleaner must be knowing something that if you happen to do it in the company will be able to, in this case here, get wings and fly. Just listen to people. By the mere fact that you have an MBA or whatever, it doesn't make you any better of a human being. No. We survive through ideation. And in this case here, when we are getting these ideas from these people, we also expect what we call order. Order in the company. That's why if there are meetings or that you're organizing through teams, we call it teams. Yeah, you can easily schedule meetings. Even if they're online, you can easily do a calendar. Let this group know that this time round, I'll be giving you guys 30 minutes. Come and talk to me. Yeah, there are times you should be able to meet the entire company. There are times in this case you can meet departmental heads with their employees like that. Yeah, I'll be able to teach you all these, what they stand for. For example, we have what we call a spirit de corps. If you're a visionary, if you're transformational, you should be able to motivate your workers here, the team spirit. The team spirit. For example, we have R for remuneration, pay your people, good salaries. So long as the company can afford, pay your people good salaries. So why do African men, in this case here, not make very, very good leaders? I wish I could state most of the things that I learned from there. But because some of you are really young, I'm so sure there must be a Canadian here who is 18, 19 years old, so I can't say a lot. If all of you are my age, 45 and something, then I would have also gone bare knuckle, tell you the truth. But this particular person went ahead and told us that most of these African men, they don't make very good leaders because of upbringing, how we were brought up. You see, in that house, when we were very young, we were made by our parents to believe that we are superior. We are superior in respect to the other gender. So it reached a point, class 5, class 6, you were told that you can't even go to the kitchen because you are a man. When you were circumcised, you're told you are a man. So you go ahead and they get into marriage institution, there also you are told you are a man. So when you go in this case here, for example, home with your wife that is also working from town, 5 p.m., when you reach home, what happens? You spread your legs nicely and have that poor lady, of course, as you watch KTN, have that poor lady moving up and down to settle everybody, to even see that homeworks of children have been done. The man in this case here, if, for example, there are some pages of Nation, you would not read in the day, you're still looking up around. And of course, watching news like that, you go to sleep. Even in the morning when you wake up, you don't know where your pair of socks are. When these ladies here travel at times, we even get into problems because, you don't know what happens there. As she is organizing everyone else, you're also being organized as a firstborn. That's what that book was saying. That's not a problem. That is your wife. You can do whatever you want to do to her, but a good man shall not do that. Now the problem comes here. The same gentleman now becomes the CEO of Coca-Cola. When they become the CEO of Coca-Cola, according to this book, now they've been used to things being done for them. So they start looking like everybody in the company is their wife and their children. So they are trying to, issue instructions left, right, and center, including simple things. Somebody who is just carrying his own bag, which is about 3 kilograms or even less, when they're leaving the office, that they have to call somebody who ostensibly is even older than them to carry that bag for them. They don't want to do anything. And you see, leadership, ladies and gentlemen, you lead better by setting examples. I remember one time, because I'm a civil engineer, I was a clerk of works in one of these great buildings. All right, clerk of works, of course, I'm the eye of the client. So the client, of course, he would want the architectural drawings to be interpreted very well and to ensure that whatever has been drawn by the architect is what the contractor is implementing. So I was there, and this building was given to a Chinese. When you get a Chinese engineer, somebody who is being called an engineer in China, a Chinese engineer. This is a guy who will not be seated all through. Yes, he's doing supervision, but there are days will come and say, hey, today we are doing plastering. Yes, please give me that trowel. They'll be able to do plastering, in a way that you'll not believe. And this is an engineer. He finishes like one side of the wall, and then he tells now these other juniors, please do what I've done or even better. In engineer, or rather in Kenya here, in Africa here, which engineer will be able to do that manual work? Even how engineering is being taught in this university, it's so crazy, it's so theoretical. They teach us engineering as if engineering is a white-collar job. And whenever it comes to like constructions, you will always construct like, say, a wall up to, say, four, you only go like, say, 1 meter up, and then you demolish, and then next time again you're doing. Ladies and gentlemen, leadership is about getting things done by others, but there is the motivational aspect. You need to do some work. You need to do some work, and of course, as you delegate, you should be able to take full responsibility over whatever work that is being done in that organization. Ladies and gentlemen, as I finish, come here. Sorry, I need to be reading your come on site in a suit and a construction helmet. Very, very bad. Great. So then if you allow me, my good students, I will be able to go through the others. Like now we have what we call power influence approach. No, there's something very important here. Behavioral approach. A factory manager who organizes tasks, sets clear schedules, but also listens to employees' concerns. Then in terms of behavioral approach, this person will be said to be doing a very, very good job. We have Elon Musk, highly task-oriented. He demands heavy deadlines. His deadlines must be met, but often criticized for weak people-oriented behaviors. Yeah. In the public sector, a school head teacher who checks lessons plans, tasks, but also mentors, teachers, people that will be said to be very good in terms of behavioral approach. Power influence. So here, power influence, there are people really exert lots of power. They don't involve other employees. These are the dictators. These are the 𝑪𝑰𝑭𝑨s of this world. So autocratic is a military general who issues strict orders without consultation. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, in the army is a funny type of place to work in. Very, very funny. Because everything your boss says, you cannot dispute. You can't criticize. Yours is simply take commands by saying, yes, sir. Yes, sir. And you must actually even pronounce that yes, sir, so loudly. And you can't even do that while seated down. So remember, it starts from the chief commander, like the president. Then we have those generals, brigadiers, majors. We have colonels. We have, in this case here, like lieutenant colonels. And then now we have the other ranks, like O1s. So in this case here, there is autocracy in the military. When you're told it is going this way, you must go that way. In the military, when you're told that tomorrow, for example, there will be people who will be coming to town to demonstrate, go and meet those people and beat them. You can imagine now here you have your mother, you have your sons who are demonstrating the Gen Zs, and you still have to beat them every day simply because you are taking orders from above. That's what we call autocracy. You can't even come and reason with your bosses. If in the military, if you try in this case here reasoning with your bosses, then automatically you will get yourself into what here? Into problems. That's what we call autocracy, autocratic leaders. Yeah. So then we have what we call participative. A tech startup founder who shares decisions with their teams, e.g. through brainstorming and open voting. That is participative style of management. In corporate, a finance director might use expert power to influence board decisions based on technical what here. Even if you're using expert power, ladies and gentlemen, please, there is nobody in this world who has got monopoly over knowledge. You could be a pilot. But trust you me, you can as well. And I've seen this up there. You'll be advised. You'll see a pilot saying that now we are cruising at, say, 40,000 feet above sea level. Now we are comfortable. Now let's get back there and play cards like that. And then you'll hear a very old lady saying that, hey, the way I'm seeing this thing is quite turbulent. Please, pilot, today don't leave your seat. And most of those pilots will listen. They will go back. Yeah, because remember when you are doing like long distance and you are up there, you can easily, as a pilot, leave your seat and come and even start greeting. You should be able to listen, always involve people in whatever that you are doing, especially when you want to make changes. There will be resistance to change. Then one of the ways of ensuring that you'll be able to break that ice and then you change things is to involve employees. You must involve employees. You must involve employees. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I can see it is 7:50, and really my wish this was our very first session for this strategic business leader. Yeah, and I will be welcoming you. This is an ACCA course. Yeah, you guys in CPA, you call it leadership and management. So I'll be inviting you whenever I have this SBL. So this SBL, we don't only do it twice a week. Twice a week, I will be able to give you a timetable. And the SBL ACCA, basically, I give you all the materials, most recent textbooks. I'm now addressing the ACCA students, most recent textbooks. And then once you go through, so we'll be agreeing. For example, next week, I'll tell you in advance that I shall be doing a concept on risk management. How do you need, in this case, what do you need to do as a manager to manage risk in an organization? Once I tell you to do that, you must go to the textbook. So my work will be to come and give you these real life examples in my live sessions, and then I take you to the past paper. And if you do those ACCA past paper questions, if you're a CPA student, you will as well pass 100%. So in this case here, do you think the CPA students, I'm involving you now. Would you like me to be inviting you to these SBL, Strategic Business Leadership classes? I'm involving you now. Yeah, great. You'll be able to learn a lot of stuff, So once I come up with a timetable of these ACCA students, actually the students will be interested a lot. I can even add you to our WhatsApp group. And you can never go wrong. Otherwise, thank you very much for today. Today was just lesson number 1. Let's finish it. Thank you so much. And I can see a student who is inboxing me here that, Mwalimu, you're a good public speaker. I don't know. I wish I was. If I was, I'm so sure I would not be teaching CPA. I would not be teaching ACCA. I would be a politician, isn't it? I will be a politician, but it's something that I also need to keep on working on every now and then so that I can become even better. But I really thank you for that. Great. Then bye, and bye-bye. And I'm happy because you're 40-something. Those who are away from us, how do we get this SBL? I'll be able to share it in the group. Like now, this student from Southern Sudan, for example, was paid for this SBL. I will be able to share it with you on WhatsApp. I have your WhatsApp number, and the other ACCA, 2 students of ACCA, I'll share with you the book in the group. So we shall overcome. Thank you so much. It's good to know that you're gained. Thank you so much. Then bye-bye. Have a lovely night. Thank you.